Hello, welcome to Bible Guru. Thank you for joining us in our journey through the Bible. Revelation chapter 20, beginning at verse 1. And I saw an angel coming down from heaven having the key of the abyss and a big chain in his hand. And he grabbed the dragon, the ancient serpent, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and threw him into the abyss, and closed and sealed it over him, in order that he would no longer deceive the nations until 1,000 years were fulfilled. After these things, he will inevitably be released for a small time. What would happen if you fell into a hole with no bottom? Do you ever wonder about such things? The Bible seems to encourage us to. You would pass the center of the planet after a number of hours. We'll talk more about the center of the planet in just a moment. You would fall several thousand miles. You would, in fact, fall almost to the other side of the planet. And just before you get to the other side, gravity would overcome your momentum, so you'd start falling back towards the hole you fell into. Assuming there is air in the hole so you could breathe while falling, there would be wind resistance, so this would slow you down. Therefore, you would fall a little less far each time. Never even getting a chance to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'd fall back and forth past the center of the earth until finally you'd come to rest at the center, where, since you're at the center of the mass of the earth, there would be no gravitational pull in any direction, or the same pull in all directions. And you would float for eternity, or at least as long as the earth lasts. The center of the earth is an interesting place. The pressure there is roughly 300 gigapascals, or about 45 million pounds of pressure PSI. By the way, I don't know why people say PSI as if it means pounds per square inch, because it doesn't mean that. It actually means PSI per square inch. So it means what per square inch? In this case, I've said it's 300 gigapascals or 45 million pounds PSI. Hope you're following what I'm saying. If you just say 45 million PSI, that means 45 million per square inch. It doesn't say what it is. 45 million what? Anyway, I digress. The pressure at sea level on the surface of the earth is about 14 pounds PSI. To give you a frame of reference, the temperature is roughly in the center of the earth, about 6,000 degrees Celsius, or about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's roughly the temperature on the surface of the sun. The brightness of that environment might surprise you. Matter at that heat glows brightly enough to blind you in a moment. If Satan can handle the pressure and likes his habitation hot, he'll be happy as a hamster on a hill. Otherwise, not so much. The fate of those who endured suffering for their faith under Satan's rule, however, have a different destiny. What would you do if you were king or queen? This is another of those mind experiments that might be a bit of a challenge. First, you have to imagine a world in which kings and queens have real power. That hasn't happened for more than 100 years. Though England recently announced which prince will take the current queen's place if she dies, when she dies, he will be just as impotent as she is. The political teeth of the Tudor dynasty all fell out long ago. But imagine what it might have been like for Nebuchadnezzar or King David. Now, if you are really human, the thought of being an absolute monarch might scare you. Your decisions and actions may have real consequences, either blessing or cursing individuals, families, communities, even entire nations. Your word could bring life, or your word could bring death. Such consequences are mind-boggling if you consider them seriously. The good news is, on the throne next to you, Jesus sits. Anytime you're not quite sure what you should do, you just kind of lean over and say, Lord, what would you do in this situation? And he, of course, would provide wise counsel, and every decision you made together would result in good outcomes. Nice. absolute power that blesses absolutely. So, where would you rather spend 1,000 years? In paradise, a kingdom ruled by you and your Lord, or with the God of this world, falling forever in blinding, crushing, burning light? A prayer for today. Father, I know where I want to spend eternity, wherever you are. I'm not worthy to be royalty in your kingdom, but let me be a servant, sweeping any corner of your house. Let me see your glory. Let me hear your voice. Let me do your bidding. Let me make your choice. In the name of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Jesus. Amen.